and welcome to the Empress of Biz and the Duke of Business. I'm JoAnn Forrester, and my cohort is Sal Acosta, who now has a T-shirt on that says Watermelon Army. So we're going to be talking about that. And we have for our guests two enterprising gentlemen, Eric Cabello and Les Gossett, and they're talking about I gotcha. My dad was in the Marines, guy. So they're talking about what they are doing, and it is fascinating. So, Eric, welcome to the show, and Les, welcome to the show. Sal, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I mean I've known Eric for multiple years now. He is a veteran, and so that's very important to mention right at the outset. But I don't want to steal any of his thunder. This is a fantastic project that he started recently, spans multiple states. So we'll get into it here in a second.
Okay, Eric, you have a fascinating name for your business, the Watermelon Army. I'd like to know where you got that and what you're doing.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on the podcast, JoAnn and Sal. I'm Eric Cabello with Watermelon Army, and it really took over about 11 years to dwell in my mind and to come to fruition. And it kind of started with my love of watermelons and my previous career in the Army as a Desert Storm veteran, and also being a George Washington history buff, living up here in Wheeling, West Virginia for the last 11 years, and getting reacquainted with the Whiskey Rebellion history. The Watermelon Army was a term that the Whiskey Rebels gave to the troops that George Washington garnered up to quell the Whiskey Rebellion. And we would like to go around the nation and encourage everybody in sweet watermelons. A lot that you don't see in the stores today.
So Eric, let me ask you a question there. First of all, where are you operating right now? Where are you sourcing your watermelons? And I know you're an expert on watermelons. I am not. What types of different watermelons do you have?
Well, we have red seeded, red seedless. We have yellow seeded, yellow seedless, and we have orange seeded as well, watermelons. Now, there are also some white meat watermelons, but I have not yet been able to taste those yet. Those are mostly northern watermelons. They're grown up here in the north. We currently have operations in Houston metropolitan area, between Houston and Galveston. And we have some other endeavors up here in the tri-state area, Southwest PA, Northeast Ohio, and Northern West Virginia. And we're currently doing farmers markets in the Houston Galveston area and hope to be able to nail down that operation this year so that we can go to other communities across the United States with the big old watermelon plan.
Now you try to source locally, right?
We do. Watermelons are grown in around 18 states commercially. So sometimes you will have to go about 300 miles to get to a watermelon source. For up here in the Wheeling, Pittsburgh area, we would get them out of Delaware primarily, Maryland, and also Indiana and Michigan. Now for Houston, they are very plentiful in Texas, especially East and South Texas is where I would get them for that market. And I have had watermelons from Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Oklahoma and Arkansas, and just kind of laying the groundwork for future sources.
I'd like to ask, one I have as a consumer, I see the seedless watermelons and I keep on thinking, okay, how do you propagate? You know, how do you, how do they make themselves grow there?
Well, it's kind of like mixing. Let's see, my mother is from Appalachia, and my father is from Texas, from South Texas. His family's from Mexico, even southern Texas of that, in that location. And it's kind of like putting those two together, and then you've got me. I'm the seedless crop from that too. That's
Okay.
kind of how they make those seedless melons.
Uh,
It's not a genetically modified operation. It's pretty much a mixing two types.
oh, okay. So you hope to expand nationally.
We
I'm hearing.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We're looking at Houston, Galveston metro market at about a population of 7.5 million, and we're hoping to reproduce uh, locations that can go up to about 7.5 million populations. So we believe that that will be the numbers that will hit really good numbers for the people that want to run a watermelon army region.
With your watermelon, I Army, I hear you have a unique way of delivering your 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 watermelons. Would you tell
Yes,
us about
ma'am. I originally started off by in 2020 and buying a Deuce and a half, an Army 2.5 ton truck, and selling watermelons out of that truck. We actually did 2 live runs out of that truck, and then I realized that that truck is really kind of inefficient for that, but it's
Mhm.
very good for promotions, and people love buying watermelons off the back of a Deuce and a half.
that? Ah,
And
okay.
we were originally going to be doing that on the Whiskey Rebellion tour up here in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, but it was 2020, and Pennsylvania
Yeah.
was pretty locked down that summer, and so we were forced to come up with some different plans, and we started down there in Houston, Galveston, where it was a little more open.
Les, you're involved in this venture. What's your part?
Well, I handle all the like the digital marketing, branding, packaging stuff. Uh, Eric does. Eric's the huge watermelon genius connoisseur, and I'm the watermelon learning everything I can about it. And so that's what I handle. It's just anything on the internet, the website, the Facebook page, uh, and things like that.
So you're the
Hey,
tech
Les,
guru.
we're going to put a link to your websites as part of the description of the video. But just if they're easy to mention, can you just mention them so people, if they want to write them down and don't want to look them up on the little description of the video?
You can find us online at watermelonarmy.com, or in Facebook is facebook.com/watermelonarmy. And it's all one word.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Um, you said the you're very interested in the Whiskey Rebellion, which ended up with no war whatsoever. Nobody shot, right?
Well, there was one person that was that had a death in Carlisle, PA, but
Uh,
they that was more of a misunderstanding. Um, and but there was no scrimmage once they finally got to Washington, PA. There was no one there to meet to do battle. So we believe that through the sheer respect for President Washington at the time, and all that he had accomplished under the revolution, that they felt that it was better to go about their business and do good things for the country and come together.
And
Hey,
how
Eric,
did
let me ask you a question. Because you're an entrepreneur now with the Watermelon Army. From personal knowledge, I know you've had other entrepreneurial projects before. You're a veteran. How did your time in the Army and how did your experiences as a veteran help you and or motivate you to be an entrepreneur? How are you applying those learnings and those disciplines?
Well, actually, all the planning and going into this was everything I learned in the Army, is trying to get all the logistics, uh, trying to get all the sources, trying to get all the markets, and putting them together and running with the Army motif. And hopefully, I feel like I have some type of artistic license to use this type of motif uh, due to my prior service, as well as Les's service also. Les is also a veteran.
That's how we met, actually.
yeah, where did you guys serve?
I was in the 501st MI Battalion in Germany, and we were deployed to Desert Storm in 1991. And in 1992, I was in a reserve unit in Houston, Texas, and that's where I ran into Les.
Hmm. 301st MI.
Excellent.
You
Now,
have
Eric, let me ask you this. I know that beyond watermelons, you're also branching out into coffee and honey. Um, so first, how did you make that connection of going from watermelons to also coffee and honey? Because I think for a lot of people that may be watching or listening, maybe that's not an obvious sort of connection there. Ah, there we go. JoAnn is showing it. And then tell us a little bit about that. Same thing. Where are you sourcing it? You know, all the logistics. How are you selling it? So tell us a little bit about the coffee and the honey.
Well, the honey, I never envisioned that we'd have honey or coffee. I always envisioned that we would have other produce, but we bring it in when deemed profitable. Um, the honey came about in our second year in 2021, where Sean Kennedy, beekeeper and a bee relocator down there in Galveston County in Texas. He ran into my stand in Clear Lake Shores, and we hit it off instantly. And within about 2 weeks, we were talking about bottling honey under the Watermelon Army label. And we now have a facility in Texas City, Texas, where we're able to store the honey and the coffee roaster, roast our own coffee, and package our own honey down there. And it's been a very sweet combination. You put a little bit of honey on your watermelon, it is perfect.
Mhm.
Now we're
you
trying the watermelon coffee, but we haven't really hit that taste off yet. So I'm not into selling something that isn't fantastic. If it's not fantastic, I'm not going to sell it.
Okay. Now you said you're roasting your own beans. Where are you getting the beans from for the coffee?
Well, Sean Kennedy is our coffee expert at the moment, and but we do bring the beans in from several countries. We do bring them in from Malaysia, India, Mexico, Nicaragua, and we're hoping to get some from Hawaii in the near future. Um, and we get them green. We get Arabica beans. We also get some Robusta beans. The Robusta beans are the ones where you make really highly caffeinated coffees, and we're having a great time doing it. From the time that we started talking about it about 4 months ago to put it into a test market in January, and within the third market, we see profitability on the coffee and the honey, and we think it's going to be a very good pairing with the watermelons. Of course, the watermelons are only seasonal. In Texas, we can sell them for 5 months of the year, maybe 6 months. And but the coffee and honey is something that can be sold year round. And honey is in every state. You know, bees are in every state. We'd like to bring local products to wherever we operate. We'll try to bring in the closest watermelons that meet our watermelon army standards and quality, and the honey, and we'd like to be offering those two staples as local as possible everywhere in the U.S. And the coffee, it's starting out as where we roast it in Texas City. It is 100% organic and 100% fair trade.
I noticed that you have. I like these logos. They go. Who came up with the logos? You know, the packaging.
That was primarily Les, and
I like it, Les.
Thank you, thank you. Well, it's Eric comes up with the pretty much the idea for the name, and maybe he might have an idea for a design, and then I just kind of go with it.
I
So
like this one.
yeah, that one. I give props for that name. That was
Now, Les, are you sort of a self-taught graphic designer? Did you go to school? Did you learn in the army? How did you get good at this?
yeah, well, completely self-taught. In the army, I learned Morse code, so that didn't help too much afterwards. And in college, we didn't really have, not that I'm aware of, this kind of stuff back then. Yeah, I guess I'm showing my age, but it all kind of started one weekend when I was, or 1 week when I was homesick, and I just started dabbling on making a website back in the 90s, and then I just ever since then it's just been dabbling, learning, playing with code, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So completely self-taught.
I would like to give you a little bit of inside information there that Les Gossett was one
Yeah.
of the early leaders of the E4 Mafia.
That's possibly true. That's possibly true.
So when's watermelon season starting, Eric?
Well, I'm getting information that it might be a little bit earlier this year. Normally, it's about the middle of May till the middle of September, and it may be early May through October this year.
Mm. Okay. Did they require a lot of water to grow?
You do at certain times you want water, at certain times you want sun. Um, so you don't want water at a certain time, and sometimes you get too much of it and it ruins
Yeah.
your crop.
Yeah.
And 2022 was a tough year on South Texas and East Texas watermelon farmers. We're hoping that this year, and it sounds like this year is going a lot better.
Okay.
I
Hey, Eric, let
understand
me
that
ask
you give
you.
a guarantee with your watermelons.
What was that?
If I've heard Sal correct, you give a guarantee with your watermelons.
Absolutely. We have a watermelon army guarantee. If you don't like that watermelon, give us a chance to make it right and get you a excellent watermelon. Because I guarantee every watermelon, if it somehow falls through the cracks of our inspection process, and I want to make it right. I want you to have a great watermelon
Okay. Hey,
because I
Eric.
know a lot of these watermelons you're not going to see in the stores. You know.
Why not?
Well, one of them was called a red diamond. Is very particular to a region there in East Texas, to one farmer who developed it, and we're lucky and blessed enough to be able to sell it for him. And others are a little bit on the bigger scale that your parents and your grandparents used to eat. And today, all the stores are focused on getting these small personal watermelons from 4 to 15 pounds. Sometimes you'll see some watermelons are 25 pounds in the stores, but you may see them for only a couple weeks. And you might see a yellow meat watermelon, yellow dolls in the stores for maybe 1 week during the year. But
Mhm.
it is our goal to bring out yellow meat melons, orange meat melons whenever we can because people just don't see them. They are very they're very exclaim. You know, they're very excited, and they don't. When they see those watermelons, they think they're something else. You know, they think they're a pineapple or a
Oh,
Mhm.
cantaloupe. And it's not, it's a watermelon. You know, people don't know about these watermelons. They were the original watermelons. The red meat watermelons were developed later, like within the last 500 years. I know that doesn't sound like too later, too much later, but the development of the watermelon spans over 5,000 years.
Okay.
okay. So the watermelon is not a native plant of the USA. It comes
No,
from elsewhere.
the
Okay.
watermelons, they believe it comes from Africa. Some will say Northern Africa, some will say Southern Africa, some will say Eastern Africa. Um, and they were originally orange and yellow meats.
Oh, okay.
The red meats were developed right around 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey,
There
Eric.
was watermelon drawings in King Tut's burial. Uh,
Oh, wow. I like that one.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a question. Because of course this is a business show, and I know you've talked about these things and you've thought about these things. So, looking out into the future, okay, as the business continues to grow, would you want to do vertical integration? And by that I mean, would you like to at some point maybe own a farm where you grow your own watermelons beyond, which I know right now you're focusing more on the farmers markets, but would you also want to do some type of retail location? So what's in the future in terms of growing the business and maybe vertically?
I would like to go grow vertically, but I think originally, right now, we're looking at focusing on farmers markets and watermelon stands, and being able to try to educate the public in that you get a product, a watermelon from Watermelon Army, you're getting a sweet product. You're getting a delicious product. And you're getting that product with the guarantee from our Watermelon Army inspection process. And we would like to get into farming of the watermelons, but that's probably at least 5 years from now. Um,
No, sure,
Now
absolutely.
we're
Sure.
also wanting to get into a bigger honey operations and looking to expand the coffee. As far as having retail stores, I don't think we're looking at retail stores at the moment. We may try to go into some retail groceries with the coffee and the honey, but the pricing is, I think your price, we can't get to that pricing right now to get into the retail.
Yeah, it gets tough. It's tough. Ah, Eric, what would you like this? If we're talking 10 years from now, what will have happened?
10 years from now,
Yeah.
um, hopefully there'll be a watermelon army in every state, continental U.S. state, and people will, when they hear Watermelon Army, they will think delicious watermelons. And they'll love the coffee and they'll love the honey. And they'll have the confidence in knowing that they've got local watermelons and local honey, pure raw honey.
So you'll be really a promoter of the family farm.
Absolutely. We really promote locality and the farms. You know, some of the farmers that we deal with in Texas on the watermelons are not big watermelon commercial growers. Some of them are a little bit smaller farms. You know, we're maybe 20 acres. You know, 50 acres.
Mhm.
Some of the big commercial growers are, you know, 300, 400, 500 acres of watermelons.
You said, because I've worked with another company that has a different fruit, but a similar um, mo modus of operation. With the, how do you get the watermelons? Do they ship them to you? Do you go and get them?
I go look for them. I
Hmm.
I do a diligent search, and I will go to their farms. Sometimes we've been at farms in the field while they're picking the watermelons off the vine and loading our trucks. Sometimes they're that fresh. Some other
Hmm.
times we'll be at like a depot station where they're inbounding watermelons from farms. And sometimes we'll load the trucks from there. We'll pick our bins. You know, we'll take a visual inspection and pick our product. And then we also have our inspection process where we look at it before giving it to the customer. Sometimes the customer picks their own watermelons. If they want us to pick it, then we'll do our inspection process to make sure they have a delicious, good watermelon.
Okay. Hey Eric, in terms of cost, and I know
Mhm.
now we're still in a relatively high inflation period. What are your biggest challenges? Understanding that you focus locally, is still transportation still a big cost for you? Is labor still a big cost for you? Or is it really the actual cost of the watermelon? And maybe they have some cost down the supply chain. But from a cost perspective, what's your biggest challenge that you're dealing with?
Well, the biggest challenge that you deal with is finding your demand. When you find your demand and you know your demand, you know how much you can order. And that way it cuts down on your waste. Right now we're probably looking at about 5% on waste, which I think is very good. But I think there's also ways for us to cut down on that. Um, Originally started out around 2,200 pounds out of a truck and trailer, and would have that sold within 4 days. I had a spot in Northwest San Antonio, probably sold 700 pounds there. And then I had two businesses in North Houston on Friday and would sell during a 2 hour lunch, probably another 400 or 500 pounds. And then on Saturday, we'd have a farmer's market down in Kemah, Clear Lake Shores area of between Houston and Galveston. And we'd usually sell out on that day. And if we didn't sell out, then the next day I would set up in a nearby town, Lake City, Texas, and sell the rest of it. And usually we would profit, and that's just myself out there doing all the work over about 5 days. We would profit about anywhere between $600 and $1,200, just depending on how many pounds of watermelons I was able to procure. Of course, your Fourth of July weekends are your big weekends. Your Memorial weekends are really big on watermelons. Um, and Columbus Day weekend is also a big. And sunny days. Anytime you've got a sunny day, you've got to have a watermelon.
Oh, yeah. My favorite treat is a watermelon, and I put salt and pepper on it.
Mhm.
It's really good.
Oh yeah, we're looking at putting a bunch of other additives to the watermelon. Um, Soy sauce, lemon pepper, bunch of different things that are really pair well with it. People that want to expand their taste flavors. Um, Labor is also a pretty big cost. I'd say labor is a good 15 to 20% of the process. Of course, the high fuel prices do not are not very fun to deal with. But I think the biggest challenge you have is finding your demand, knowing how much to buy for your demand. And of course, the more demand that I can run into, that I can develop, the more watermelons I can procure, and my average costs go down.
Okay. Hey,
And
Eric, let me ask you a question. I know at one point, and maybe this product is not ready, but I want to know if you're still working on this or if you couldn't get it to work. I know at one point you were trying to develop a watermelon barbecue sauce. Is that still in the works? Is that something that didn't work? What is happening with the barbecue sauce?
well, that was in our top secret files, but we'll go ahead and make that known. Um, but we are moving forward with the watermelon flavored barbecue sauce. We're actually going
JoAnn,
to
you
be
know what?
doing
I think
a
we just got
small
an
barbecue
exclusive.
project this year. What's that?
I'm telling JoAnn, we just got an exclusive.
That's right. Who's
You
listening
heard it
out
here first. Watermelon Army watermelon flavored barbecue sauce. Goes really good on ribs. Goes great on
there?
chicken, great on beef. But we're going to, right now, it's more of a marinating sauce and not really a basting sauce like you see that's in the bottles. So we're working on getting that into a thicker form so that we can bottle it. It is delicious. I believe you've even tried it, haven't you, Sal?
Yes, I have. That's why I'm asking.
There we go. Because I like doing research for the Watermelon Army because it's always yummy and fun. Yes.
By the way, we should mention that JoAnn got a little care package from you. So JoAnn has tried the honey and the coffee, and so we've been spreading the riches.
Good deal.
Yeah, the coffee is good. I've enjoyed it very much. And actually, what I'm going to do is one of my classes, they have offered to, we're going to have a little taste testing next week to see what they think. We're going to have a couple of
Great.
brands. Yeah, it's fun to bring in products to get, other people's taste and opinion.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really excited about the addition of the coffee. Um, this coffee roaster came available to us about 5 months ago, and we're really excited about what it can add to the Watermelon Army brand.
Hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
Eric, I see that Sean Kennedy has just joined us, and I see he's rocking his Watermelon Army T-shirt just like me.
All
Um,
right,
yeah, so would you like to introduce him and how maybe he can tell us a little bit about his part of the operation?
excellent. Yes, Sean Kennedy is what we call the beekeeper. He's also a veteran. He's an airborne Army veteran.
Right.
And I'll let him go ahead and say a few things about himself. Okay.
Yeah. So I got into this by removing bees. Had lots of honey left over, and uh, saw Eric selling watermelons in Clear Lake Shores. Asked him about he'd be interested in vending, selling watermelon or selling honey as well. He asked me what the shelf life of honey is. So when I told him that you could take it out of they took it out of King Tut's tomb and you could still eat it. Uh, Shelf life's forever. Uh, he thought that might be a good addition. Over that summer, we ended up going to pick up a few truckloads of watermelons and selling a few watermelons. And, developed into regular honey business as well. And then John Alvarez, another person who I'd done sold honey to, had a coffee roaster and decided to go back to Hawaii and is allowing us to use his equipment and get this ball rolling. Uh, so we're just kind of building the man cave here. If you'd like, I can turn on cameras so that y'all can get an idea of what we got going on.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you if you could do that. If you could give us a virtual tour, that would be awesome.
Yeah, let's see here. All I have is the little camera on the face. It won't do the other side, but basically, here's the coffee roaster. Uh, I can't really see what we're doing here, but you know,
Oh, we can see it.
we're sealing everything in so that we keep her nice and pretty, shiny and chrome like she ought to be. Got John's some of John's stuff stored in here. We've been putting that up into the rafters, if you will. We got lots of storage space for equipment and packaging and whatnot. Big mobile bar. It's on wheels. We can push it real easy, move it around wherever we need to. When we're not roasting, push it right up against the roaster, and we got lots of space in here. Brewing area, uh, grinder, grinding, measuring. I got some honey bottling set up over here for the moment. We're probably going to move that around. Weigh station. Um, we got flavors, and man, do we got flavors! Cinnamon spice,
It's called Snickerdoodle.
snickerdoodle. All right, and so we got lots of good flavors. Coffee coming, and we got the office in here a little bit. Uh, where we're gonna set up shop and do some business. Can't wait to get the air conditioner going. It should
Yeah.
be good.
Over at the beach, right?
So hang a few things, seal us in a little better, try and keep the dirt out. So
Well, John, I
install
just
the
saw
coffee roaster.
that you joined us.
Go ahead.
Would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself?
My name's Sean Kennedy. I'm the head beekeeper, chief bottler, coffee roaster, apprentice, and packaging, bottle washer. Did I mention bottle washing? Yeah, I do that too.
Well, listen, Eric, I want the cigar division. Whenever you're ready to start cigars, because that'll go well with the coffee. You can sell coffee and cigars. Let me know. I want to be the head of the cigar division.
Once we get down into Costa Rica to go visit the farms, the coffee farms, we can always they grow tobacco as well, and that very well could be.
Well, you know what two things move an army? You know, in the morning it's coffee, and after a victory it's cigars. So
You betcha.
you never know. It could be a match made in heaven.
Well, guys, we thank you for your time. I'm hoping that we get back to you again to see how the watermelon army is marching on and how many cities you are taking in your campaign. And
Yeah, a
we wish you
conquest.
well. Sal?
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure having you all on here. Thank you for showing us your facility down in Texas. It always amazes me how we can do these virtual tours through the magic of the internet. Um, you're a growing company. We wish you the best. And I hope that within 5, not 10 years, maybe 5 years, you have a presence in every single state. That would be just really exciting. I'm sure people appreciate that you're making a big effort to buy locally and sell locally. And certainly you can't beat the quality guarantee. I think, anybody that watches this video is going to walk away understanding that they can get a much better product from you than if they go to the local supermarket or a local retail outlet, whatever. So thank you for being our guest on the show.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And always remember that the Watermelon Army loves you.
We love you.
Aloha.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.